3 new ways to use design thinking. Let me tell you how I use it and how it might be able to help you too. So first of all, what is design thinking? It's a process of design that helps you get into the mind of the person you're going to be helping. So if it's an end user, you're going to try to understand who that person is, and then also create a journey, an understanding of what's their life like in general, and how does it relate to the thing you're creating, the product, service, or solution that you're creating for that user. So let's start with point number 1. Design thinking can help you empathize with anyone. Design thinking is structured to do just that, to really understand a particular kind of person. And it can help you by really detailing out not just what that person's life looks like, but also how they think, how they feel, how they react to things, what their needs and wants are. And that can be really helpful if you're working with a new team member, maybe a new culture, or maybe a new type of technical or functional role that you're not used to working with. Trying to understand that person, sort of how they see the world through their eyes, can be a great way to not only gain empathy for understanding how they feel, but also bridging the gap between how you like to work and how you do things and how they do things. You can actually learn new behaviors and learn to bridge the gaps between different ways of working. When I'm using design thinking related to building empathy, I think about a couple of things, and I've written them down on my blog. The link is below if you want to check it out yourself. What's this person's way of working? Can I offer something to this person in terms of helping with the solution, or maybe adding some expertise or just a listening ear? And also, what does this person need from the process? What do they need from me, but also to the process in general? Do they need more structure, less structure, autonomy, understanding of the system that we're working in, or the processes and steps we're following? Because when team members are really working in the flow or working with others like their customers and users, understanding what that person needs from either you or the project can be really helpful in getting in the flow, which is, seamlessly working together to create a better outcome than the team working as traditional roles would do. So this use of design thinking isn't necessarily completely fit for purpose for what design thinking was built to do, but it works really effectively. You can actually use design thinking as a team building exercise during a kickoff session to get people on the same page, working to solve a problem that's not related to the project, but just a hypothetical situation. This can help them understand each other's way of working and build skills in problem solving. And the next point is about how to think creatively. Teams need to think creatively when solving problems. And it's often hard to do because so many people with technical or skill sets that are really based on problem solving, they jump right to solutioning before understanding the nature of the problem, whether that problem actually is the problem. And because of that, they may solve the problem by creating unintended outcomes and new problems arise. So learning to see the situation before jumping to solutioning is something that design thinking can really help with. And the ability to think creatively is so important. There's lots of tools I've talked about in the past about how to think creatively, and design thinking is one of those ways. But I also have a video about different ways to think creatively and to get your team to think creatively, and I'll put a link to that video up here if you'd like to check that out. The insights you gain from ideation can help you with product development, but it can also resolve organizational issues, procedures, policies, and so forth. All of this can be done through design thinking and this idea of creating a journey, flow map, or charting. The storyboard is the most effective of these, and I've got a video on that too. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up here. And if you're looking for those links later, I'll put them all in the description box below. When you understand the persona and you understand their day in the life, you're going to look at situations around that day in the life that don't relate to this specific issue. You're going to see what happens before and after a process. You're going to see what's happening during that process, maybe things outside of the solution you're working on. And that can give you the impetus to start to think, that solution problem we're talking about isn't really the problem. It's something else. It's something upstream from that problem, potentially. Or it is a problem, but there are multiple ways to handle it. And solving the problem directly may not be the answer as well. Thinking about the entire ecosystem of the situation can really help you understand what is the problem. Is it the problem you need to solve? And how does it impact the rest of this ecosystem, this life cycle chain of a moment, an experience of someone? And by doing that, you can actually reframe problems into opportunities to change how things work, or you can use creativity to push yourself and unlock new ideas. And finally, design thinking is also meant to be a prototyping tool, and it can be a prototype, again, for anything. That can be a prototype for an app, which it's kind of built to do, but processes also need prototypes. You need to walk through that process and actually, hold the piece of paper, transfer the document to someone else, another user, and understand what knowledge they have about that thing and how they would react to the next step in the process. That can be a great role-playing moment for the team to really understand how that process works, how those solutions support any underlying technology, or just how it supports the policies and procedures being put into place. Sometimes it's not technology that's changing. So really taking a moment to look at processes, procedures, and policies is a great way to understand how design thinking can go beyond its normal brief and help truly understand a way of working issue. So what kinds of things can you prototype? You can prototype data capture and transfer. You can prototype project processes or product processes, but also design thinking can help your outcomes be sustainable. Day one of any solution is just day one. Keeping it sustainable, keeping it evergreen and valuable to your end user can be helped through the design thinking process. Why? Because design thinking looks beyond. It looks beyond today. Day one, you're just launching a new procedure, policy, or product. But how is it going to be reacted to the next day? How will you keep the product evergreen a year from now? How will you improve the product as you get feedback from users? That should be something you consider whenever you're doing something, even if it's a policy change. It seems like it's a static process, but the best are dynamic because what you're trying to do is keep it relevant. Things that aren't relevant become dusty on the shelf. So using design thinking in very tactile ways can help you keep your product, your solution, and your services alive and relevant for the users. Using design thinking can make you a more innovative and creative thinker. It can also be useful to problem solve in new ways and deeply empathize and understand your audience, whether that audience is a team member or whether that audience is an end user. I hope you'll consider using some of these concepts today. I wonder, do you use design thinking? And do you use design thinking for something other than what it's designed for? Let me know in the box below. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope to see you next time on ProjectSkillsMentor.com. Bye-bye, everybody.